This is where it all started for me, right here in Mission Hill, right in this park. I'm excited to say that I'm still standing. I am the youngest of 7 children, and we grew up relatively poor, you know, and I'll be honest about that. And a lot of people have it misconstrued, right? They always say, hey, you're so lucky, you're the youngest of 7, everyone must have treated you like a baby. I had to fight for my bowl of cereal. My mother took moved her family down to Pembroke, Georgia, where I spent the next 10 to 12 years of my life. It was extremely difficult, man, going from the city to the South.
Because there were 7 of us all together growing up in the same house. There were fights, there were good times and some bad.
Long story short, I couldn't handle it. Behavior started to show that. My mother said you have to go back to the city, packed my bags, and off I was. The time between returning to Boston and actually having the opportunity to leave Boston, that's the time when I had to make some really tough decisions, and I made some pretty bad decisions. I tried everything from hustling to selling drugs to being a stick-up kid. And truth be told, it was in the middle of a blizzard, snowing. I could barely see, and I was hungry, and I did the usual thing, and it happened to be a person that I knew. And at that point, I knew that I had to get out of that lifestyle, and that was it. I stopped. But I was still hungry. I was still wandering from home to home, and I still needed to eat and put clothes on my back. I was really at the end of the road, man, and I think for many different reasons, God put Deborah and Steve Lancaster in my life. They took me in at that point, let me live there for a while.
Steve and I have known Ed through the Charlestown High School basketball program.
They saw that I was a young dude in need of some assistance and some guidance. I had nowhere else to go. I had no one else to turn to.
He was dwindling between 2 worlds.
I remember at one point Edward and I were talking about, you know, some things that he had done, again, you know, stealing, and he said to me one time, I'm not proud of the things I did. He said the only difference is between myself and some of the people that I was running with is they did it for fun. You know, I did it to eat.
The Lancasters are just like family to me. For the lack of a father in my life, in the presence of my mother, they certainly gave me a vision to look up to and aspire for.
The world was his oyster. All he had to do was go out and get what he wanted, you know.
Before I knew it, I was on my way to school. If you could just peek over here, you'll see a sign that says Northeastern University. And it's amazing how Northeastern University is less than 20 steps away for a lot of the young people, young brothers and sisters that live in these projects, but it seems a million miles away for them. A million miles away, but it's only right across the street. And until I get more people to realize their potential and their success, so to speak, I'm going to keep working. Until I know that everyone in this community right here knows that Northeastern is a potential or possibility for them, I have a lot of work to do. College had a huge impact on my life. It brought me closer to so many people. I took advantage of my opportunity to go to one of the best liberal arts colleges in this country, and it played out to be a great decision. And it was at a time where there was very, very low numbers of students of color on campus. In fact, in my incoming class, there were 3. I was forced to reevaluate myself, to reevaluate the situation I was in, and it pulled me out of this bubble, right, of coming from Mission Hill Projects where everyone was either African American or Latino. Now I'm in an area or an environment where it was just the opposite. I was able to play basketball all 4 years for a wonderful coach on a wonderful team. To have a coach and to have 14 teammates willing to make you their captain when you're just a freshman certainly was a boost of confidence. 4 or 5 years after college, I was playing in one basketball league with a friend, James, and he said, Ed, you should come down and check out this other league. I play for this guy named Keith.
Hi, Keith Cole, Wolverines basketball coach. Ed was a former basketball player of mine First game, I think he might have had like 13 3-pointers, and that's when I knew we was gonna keep him.
I had a phenomenal game. I had everyone in the gym convinced that I was just this phenomenal three-point shooter.
I would say Ed's good. I think he's not as good as he thinks he is, but he's good.
I can remember when I first started rapping. That was my way of release, venting, speaking my mind without actually saying the words to people.
He's a phenomenal artist. I love all his music. I think what he puts out is better than some of the people who are out there making millions and millions of dollars doing it.
I was doing a show at Bowdoin College, and it wasn't unusual for people to come up to me after the show and say, "Good job, I like the music," so on and so forth. And then out of the blue, this, 5'5" or so white guy came up to me with a CD in his hand.
My cousin, who's a very respected hip-hop musician, had told me about this guy named Ed, aka Versatile, that I just had to meet.
He said, "What's up, man? My name is Jared. Your show was dope. I just want to give you the CD, man. It has a lot of music on it. Just see what you can do with it. My contact info is in there, and get back to me, man. Dope."
Our Father who art in heaven.
We had some really good experiences together. We've done a lot of great music and made a lot of beautiful music together. 7, 8 years later, we're now business partners.
We started a company about 8 years ago, and Ed has become not only a business partner and an artist that we work with, but also a really, really good dear friend. It's important to have that kind of bigger brother figure around, which is kind of who Ed was, to be around with us, to kind of look out and help steer us away from, situations that certainly weren't good for anything.
I may not take the stage anymore, but I still write music. I've written songs for other people, and I do it to continue to express myself, to create, get my ideas out there, so on and so forth.
My name is Maxine Rodberg, and I am the director of the Crimson Summer Academy at Harvard.
Well, Maxine was extremely instrumental in the growth of me as a professional. She really gives me the platform to be significant, to be successful.
The Crimson Summer Academy is a 3-year program for academically talented, low-income high school kids from the Boston area. I had the privilege to ask Ed to join us several years ago, so he's been in the head of our college and career counseling program for the last few years.
She trusts who I am as an individual. She embraces who I am as an individual.
Ed really wants to help as many young people as he can to become who they should be. There's no aspect of a young person's life that Ed doesn't feel able to deal with. So although he's an educator, his purview is very large. It's not only a student's academic life that Ed cares about or his academic future. He cares about the whole person. I've never had a student that didn't respond to Ed in a big way.
Maxine is more than just an employer, a colleague, a friend, a mentor. She is all of the above, and I know that we will be, but I just have to say I hope that we remain friends until I am gone. I can talk about 1,000 different things in 1,000 different reasons why my behavior changed, my attitude changed, and everything, but the truth is, it boils down to one thing. It was February 12th, 1999. Tiana Devon Walker was born. Once that happened, it's like everything magically changed for me. I thought twice as hard, 3 times as long about dumb decisions. I'm not saying she made me perfect, but she actually made me 2 steps away from being perfect in my mind. Just several years later, she had a little sister. Takaya Lachey Walker was born. So it was twice the work and 3 times the pleasure,
I love my dad more than anyone could know. He's very serious about making sure that he has everything that he needs for his life and for everyone else. And I would like to be like that when I get older, too.
Having us together makes me feel like I am floating on top of the world. They are the reasons that I am happy most of the time. They are the reasons that I am nervous some of the time. And they're really the only 2 reasons that I've shed many tears. And I'm not saying they were tears of sorrow, but tears of happiness.
His commitment to always making sure he's always there for them without letting them down You know, I admire that the most about him.
I love him so much. Even when I die, I'll still remember him.
So Ed's really been just a positive influence on just maintaining that kind of family structure within our organization. You know,
to me, he's the man. Like, I'm proud to say that he's my younger brother.
He really has kind of a destiny ahead of him, and I think he's ready to go for it now.
The stuff that he been through as a kid to where he's at now, he can show a lot of kids that even though this is how it was then, you can always change it for the better later.
He's a really good person. I mean, there's no reason for me to be sad. Kaya, stop.
Nothing makes us prouder than to say that we had a little role in making Edward the man that he is today.